Sometimes I feel like I hit the hi a little too enthusiastically, but anyway, hi and welcome to or back to my channel. I'm Kit, and today we're going to be looking at what feminists would say if they were 100% honest. Or, well, this is a Jubilee video, so we're going to get the thoughts and opinions of 7 people, which I understand what Jubilee is trying to do, and I appreciate how difficult it would be to coordinate a larger group, but if I'm 100% honest, these sorts of videos can be hit or miss, and I don't think 7 is going to give an accurate representation of feminism as a whole. Also, the questions, meh. But I thought it would be a way to talk about my own beliefs, because I've been informed it's hard to tell what I believe, and also, sometimes a break from the trad folk and conservatives can be nice. I'm going to give my answer to each question, and then we'll see what everyone else has to say. Of course, they have the benefit of being anonymous, but no shade to anyone who participated in this video. If I have a belief and I don't feel comfortable publicly attaching myself to it, I'm either in a place where it would be dangerous to share that belief, or I need to rethink what I believe. I posted a poll a few days ago because I know sometimes it's annoying when a YouTuber gets personal, but the overwhelming majority voted for we want to know everything, so here we go. And if anyone is feeling worried, I promise I will only share what I'm comfortable sharing. However, I'm really quite boring, so I don't think I'll be sharing anything too shocking. Yeah. And on that note, these are my opinions and my experiences. I don't expect everyone to agree with me, so please don't feel as though that's what I'm saying. I'm speaking from my own perspective, and if you're curious about something or need clarification, please don't feel shy about asking. That being said, let's get into it. So this got more personal and just more than I anticipated, so I'm going to do the outro real quick. No matter how far you get into this video, thank you so much for watching. I would like to give extra thanks to my patrons, and if you make it to the end of the video, there will be cats.
I have slut-shamed someone.
I have not. Not because I'm perfect or anything like that. I'm sure if I had been in the group that did that sort of thing, I would have slut-shamed with the rest of them. But I was pretty isolated at school, and weirdly enough, I was the one being slut-shamed. And if you knew me back then, you would know how bizarre that was. I was so shy, I would blush whenever someone said my name. And come to think of it, that probably made me an easy target. No matter how ludicrous the idea of shy little being pregnant or sneaking into the boys' bathroom to have sex or whatever was, I think the point was just to fluster me. Now that I'm thinking about it, slut-shaming is not only wrong because there's nothing wrong with having sex, you can be slut-shamed even when you've never had sex. Sure, there can be no validity to the claims, but plenty of people won't care about that. They just want some juicy gossip. Well, I am clearly an angel. I wonder if I can find a halo to wear for the rest of this video.
Hell yeah, I have. I mean, I probably did it last week. You know what I mean? Like, I think I don't do it to people's faces, but like, misogyny runs so deep. I'm gonna think bad things about a girl that's prettier than me. I'm gonna like, oh, you know, a slut. I'm gonna think that.
I assume it's adults in this video, so what on earth? Why would you do that? Yes, misogyny runs deep even in women, but you're in this video, so you're a feminist, so why aren't you doing the work to stop that way of thinking?
I went to Catholic school, so we were forced to sign chastity cards, like physical cards. We had the whole presentations where they literally would like wrap a present and then like rip it apart and kick it and be like, this is what happens when you have sex before marriage. And like, I was definitely kind of to some of my like first friends who had been like having sex for a while or whatever. It's definitely partially a product of like religion and the way that this whole country is tied into Protestantism and everything as well.
And that, my friends, is purity culture.
When I was in the 8th grade, there was this girl, my friend group, they would slut shame her because she was always like hypersexual. And once me and her got close, I found out that she was sexually assaulted. And so, you know, ever since she told me her story, I stopped slut shaming. Even if I don't agree with what someone is doing, I just say that is their business and they will take it up with God on their judgment day. It don't got nothing to do with me.
Okay, well, at least she realizes it's none of her business, but I don't know, something just seems off.
I've used my sexuality for personal gain.
This is delightfully vague, but okay. I have had sex for money and I'm so sorry, this might be TMI, I've sold my underwear. But it wasn't really for personal gain. It was because I didn't make enough money to live. It wasn't something I really wanted to be doing, but when you don't have enough money to keep yourself alive, you have to do what you can.
Listen, if I'm gonna be oppressed for it, I'm gonna use it to my advantage when I want to. Like, it's something that is unavoidable.
Okay, I think I misunderstood the question. Okay, so I like your answer. I'm gonna flip it. Oh, good. I was like, okay, got it. All right. My whole life I felt like I was sexualized, and I was an early bloomer too. So I felt like I was constantly sexualized as a child, and when I got like past like losing my virginity and then being groomed and then being assaulted, and I got to the age where I was like, that's so f***ed up, that it was kind of like a revelation for myself, being like, if it's what'll get me like what I need, I'll use it.
I never thought of it that way, but yeah, after I developed this attitude of, well, if sex is something that can be taken from me at any time, it's not that special.
Yeah. You know, like if I'm gonna get catcalled, I might as well get something out of it.
I don't think I've ever been catcalled, but I have had men follow me home. However, I didn't decide that was a good time to get a free dinner or whatever. I just wanted them to leave me alone. I was so young and I had no idea what to do. And these men were way older than me. I was 22, 23, and they were in their 50s at least. It was not flattering, it was frightening. I made up a boyfriend and the response was that he wouldn't have to know. I ran upstairs and their laughter followed. I have no idea how they got into the house. I assume another tenant let them in, but I just remember being so scared and flustered. And now looking back, it's just they thought my fear was funny. And these were men older than my father. And they thought it was funny to scare me. I ran upstairs, and when I got into my apartment, I locked the door and called a friend, the same friend that ended up raping me a few months later. He didn't get it. He didn't understand my fear. It was no big deal to him.
Like, not monetary personal gain, but internal personal gain. Fitting in, getting positive reinforcement, that sort of thing. I still feed into the insecurity of, if I'm not getting that, like, what am I worth? And I feel like that's very dangerous. I'll be, getting dressed for a night out or to go out, and I'm like, why am I wanting to dress a certain way? What kind of attention do I really want to get?
Interesting. I can't really relate to that. I've never much cared about what I'm wearing, which eternally frustrates my mother. She loves clothes.
Not all women should be believed.
I think that's a very dangerous way of thinking because I already know what kind of woman they think shouldn't be believed. And by they, I don't mean Jubilee. However, the slogan was believe women, not throw due process out the window. It was a call to take things seriously, and it was co-opted by someone declaring that it really meant believe all women, don't bother with the trial, just take their word for it. So yes, women should be believed and the law should actually do its job. Not only is it important for the woman in question, but I hate to say think of the children because so often that's been used to excuse horrible behavior, but kids are watching. When I was a little girl, I was molested by a neighbor. Did I say anything? No. Even at 9 years old, I knew the chances of me being believed were slim to none. And that is the example we're setting. We're teaching little girls that their words have no worth and little boys that they can get away with unspeakable things if they're clever enough.
Okay, I'm gonna start here and then figure out if I change it later. I'm automatically switching. I rethought this.
I think that the first thing that jumped into my head that made me like go with, I agree with this, is all those stupid ass white women that call the cops irresponsibly and without reason and stuff like that. That's sort of where my logic went in on this. Not so much regarding like SA and stuff like that, because I would support any woman in that. Even if she's lying, I'm still gonna believe her.
It occurred to me that I should probably explain my thought process here. So typically, when a case doesn't go to trial because of a lack of evidence or a trial ends with a not guilty verdict, we assume it's because whoever was on trial didn't commit the crime. However, in some cases, especially regarding SA, that just means there wasn't enough proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So even if someone is on trial for SA, a not guilty verdict doesn't mean the accuser was lying. It just means there wasn't enough evidence to convict. Obviously, if someone comes up to you and says, I hate Brett, I'm going to make a false accusation against him, or, yeah, I totally made that up, that is wrong, and no one should be okay with that. That's fair. Just because there's a trial, that doesn't mean the verdict was necessarily true. And sexual assault is tough because there's usually no witnesses. I was too terrified at the time to even think about reporting my rape, but after the fact, who would have believed me? Sure, there were 5 other adults in the house, but I screamed and no one came. I had no proof.
I feel like there's like a line. Obviously, believe all women when it comes to, sexual assault. But then there's like the line that like knowing that people are bad. There are people who want to do harm. And if they're a woman, then it sucks, I guess why I went with this is to say, not immediately saying no right away. And to be like, okay, here we are.
this happened. Let's talk about it.
You know, I think for me it comes from the misogynistic idea that a lot of women just lie because they're Jezebels and you know, they're just we're just tricksters for some reason. A lot of people, specifically men, think oh well, they're just saying it to get fame or fortune or whatever.
I've heard similar things and I don't get it. Harvey Weinstein went to jail, but most don't. And no one has gotten famous or wealthy from making an accusation.
And I'm can you name one of the people that Bill Cosby assaulted? No. My initial, similar to you, is just yes, I want to hear what this woman has to say because I've been lied to way more by men in my life than by women.
That's fair. Men have caused me the most trauma so far in my life, but I do try to treat everyone individually. It's not fair to hold an entire sex to account for other people's crimes, and in my opinion, it lets the individual off the hook for their actions.
Canceling men is necessary for progress.
I have no idea what that means. I'll listen and maybe I'll understand after someone else speaks.
I feel like it's a double-edged sword. I'm not necessarily pro-cancel culture, but I'm pro holding people accountable. But I feel like with canceling men, I feel like we saw this a lot with Andrew Tate. It was really good that we were bringing attention to it, and women saw how much of a scumbag he was. And I feel like a good amount of men did too. But at the same time, it became kind of a joke. It became entertainment for men.
So are we using canceling as I'm going to point out the danger in this person's statements, or I disagree with this person because? Because I do think it's fine to disagree with men and other people in general, and I think it's fine to talk about it, and I don't see how that's canceling.
I agree with accountability for sure. I feel like canceling someone or canceling a singer or a rapper or whatever, just not listening to their music or not supporting them. But men as a system, that's not possible. They hold the power. So not, engaging with them isn't gonna progress us any further. We have to engage with them to progress further. You need to be able to converse with the issue to have the issue fixed. Because if you run to cancel someone, then they're gonna be defensive and not learn anything from it. If somebody really and truly, I think, should be canceled fully, they should just be convicted, put behind bars. There is a crime, a real crime.
I'm getting a strong impression that we're using cancel interchangeably with I disagree strongly enough that I'm no longer going to engage with this person or their work, and that's fine. If you decide to boycott someone or something because of your beliefs, I see no issue with that. I refuse to eat at Chick-fil-A. I guess that could be interpreted as me trying to cancel them, but in reality, I disagree with their politics and thus don't want to give them my money.
Sometimes jail doesn't even work because Bill Cosby's out of jail. He got out on a technicality. It's exactly, I don't trust the system. I as much as the example I'm currently always going back to is the Brock Turner case. Because if he raped a girl, and he got 6 months probation, served 3 of it. And the way I've seen cancel culture help in that case, I feel like sometimes cancel culture can step in where the law and our government and our judicial system fail.
That's true. And also, has anyone truly been canceled? We talk a lot about cancel culture and how it goes too far, but I'm unable to think of anyone who's actually been canceled, at least as how I understand canceling someone would work.
Abortion is murder, and I still support it.
Abortion is not murder, and even if we go with a violinist scenario, no, unhooking yourself from someone who needs you to live is not murder. I am very much pro-choice, and I know that gets people assuming that you just have abortions all the time. So since I've already divulged so much, I'm going to go ahead and say that no, I've never had an abortion. I was in a position once where I considered it, and it was not a damn, better get to Planned Parenthood and get this thing out situation. It was weeks thinking about what she would look like, what she would be like, what would I name her, and yes, I was assuming it would be a she. And also, how would I afford her? Who would look after her when I was at work? He was employed intermittently. I was making a whole $11 an hour. Neither of us had health insurance. We weren't even in a relationship, which is an epic saga that I will probably never get over. And then it ended before I had to make a decision. But it was never a cool, I'll get a mimosa after situation.
I feel like it's a really rude question in a way.
That's interesting.
I didn't think of the phrasing of the question.
I don't want to get flamed for this.
No, but I
have a rationale. Yeah. So I 100%.
Interesting how one agreed, 3 others changed their mask to agree as well.
Anybody that wants an abortion should have full access, no barriers, everything. I think, and I'm not even sure I agree with saying that it's murder, but I think that sometimes people talk about abortion very callously and ignore the like trauma that is associated with it, even if you have zero regrets, like it's the best decision you've ever made in your life. Women that I've, listened to and heard from and read, opinions from, it's still like a traumatic experience. I don't know, I think you guys understand what I'm trying to say, but I think just the weight of it now has been lessened a little bit. I think that is shifting back again though because of the awful recent events. But I would say for the past like 5 years or so, I've just heard it in my own communities like tossed around lightly, and I don't necessarily think that it should be handled really lightly.
I agree it shouldn't be handled lightly, but I also don't think it is. And I see things like shout your abortion, but I don't think it's because people think it's something that should be treated lightly. It's something that was stigmatized and debated, and still is, and that is why people try to drag it out in the open to destigmatize it, instead of treating abortion like something that should only be discussed in sorrowful whispers, which, considering what's going on in the US right now, is clearly still needed.
I agree with the latter half of this statement. I feel like it's like, if it were to be considered murder, I would still support it.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah. Then, yeah, I would say
That
so.
changes it.
Because it's not, it's still, even if it is murder, it's not an easy choice. Like, that makes it even more of a difficult conversation, It's like such a deeper thing.
Really interesting to see how they all changed to agree. But even if the law declares abortion to be murder, that still wouldn't actually make it murder.
This question is actually making me really emotional because I just gave birth in February, and I love my son. He's like my world. But
Touch your hand.
thank you. I recently thought I was pregnant again. And I'm not in a position to have another baby right now. Any baby I may go on and keep, but I knew if I was pregnant this one, I wouldn't have been able to keep. So, and I just know, like some people who I know, they wouldn't have understood it. So, yeah.
And that is another reason it's important for abortion to be destigmatized and talked about normally, so people like this woman won't be racked with guilt over just the thought of needing one.
Thank you for sharing that.
And that's the reality, It's not like people are maliciously trying to, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a choice, and am I going to be able to provide for myself and my already born child? Or, is this going to be healthy for my mental health? It's not like you are maliciously trying to destroy a clump of cells. It's your life, and that matters more than, in my opinion, than any kind of potential baby.
Absolutely. I feel like because of this, of the dissolve of Roe v. Wade, like, I feel like I don't even want to try to have kids anymore. Like, they're doing the opposite thing to us. There are so many women who want to try, but we've heard the stories of women who have miscarriages and go in and try to get seen by a doctor and say, we can't do that, so we call your lawyer. And I have so many health issues. I have endometriosis, I have PCOS. Like, I have everything under the female sun that could exist. I could very easily carry a pregnancy that's not good.
Yeah.
I could very easily die from ectopic pregnancy. And the fear that if for one day this expanded and reached where I live, I could die, And it's so scary. And it deters women like me who are on the fence from even wanting to have kids.
That's the sad reality of it. Even people who have no regrets over having an abortion would rather have never gotten pregnant in the first place. So this idea that it's a hobby, something that irresponsible teens and 20-somethings do when they party too hard, there's so much more to it than that. Not to mention the other effects that happen when abortion is banned. Jessica Valenti is actually tracking this in a newsletter, which I'll link below if anyone wants to sign up. It can be heavy, but I think it's important.
The future isn't female.
I think when people hear this, they assume it means the future is female, all men will be dead or subjugated to their female overlords. The slogan actually originates from the first feminist bookshop in New York City in 1972, and I will link an article below if you would like to read further. But to me, it means that Well, the future is female. More women will participate in public life, be elected to government offices, that sort of thing. At some point, there will no longer be first woman to articles because so many women will have done the thing, it's no longer notable. Of course, that's likely not going to happen in my lifetime, but I think it gives people, women specifically, hope that one day being a woman will no longer be seen as being a lesser being by default.
As much as I want to fight for it, I see this misogyny in my brothers, and my father even told me when I was in high school. I asked him, I said, "Do you think men are superior to women?" And he said, "Yeah," to my face. I'm his eldest daughter, his only daughter. So that hurts, and to see that, it puts a really gray tone over the world for you.
Damn, that is harsh.
I guess I'm super radical and I'm like, just end all of this stuff. And so I feel like feminism is for the time being. I want to end gender as a whole because I think it's binding and it's oppressive. So I feel like the future is neither female nor male.
That's fair, but I think the goal should be that whatever gender you identify with, you're not judged for it or held to some arbitrary standard. I was born female, I've never felt as though I was anything else, but I've also never worried or been concerned about whether or not I was feminine enough. Of course, I've been teased for not being girly enough, and also teased for my womanly attributes, so there really is no winning, but life is so short, it seems like something so small to worry about. Wear pink if you want, wear dresses if you want, but don't feel guilty if you don't want to. Don't feel like the definition of woman is so narrow, you have to force yourself to fit into it, otherwise you're nothing.
I don't know. I do like the concept of gender because to some degree, it is not who we are as a whole, but it does make us. I like identifying as a woman. And also I'll challenge that by saying who are gonna be the ones to be the voices for queer people and non-binaries, because it's not gonna be cis hetero men.
That's true.
It's gonna be women.
Yeah.
And that was that. It got a bit heavier than I anticipated, and there's a lot more that I want to say but didn't, like how clump of cells might sound heartless and like abortion is being treated lightly, but it is so clearly needed to drive home to some women that they are just as, if not more, important than an embryo, but I'm kind of tired. Please enjoy some cats.